Thank you very much, Doug, and thank you all for having me here today. And actually, I gotta give a hand to Doug for having the ability to influence me to say yes to come here, twist my arm, and so I did talk to Charisse, not only who's my current IT manager and the best IT manager I've ever had, and I said, what the heck are we going to talk about? And then after we've started putting together a presentation, we realized there's really a heck of a lot to talk about. Technology in business is really critical these days, and the amount that we've done in the last 5 years just blows my mind. What I'll do first is I'll back up and give you just a little bit of history. Snows is a family business. We're in our 127th year. We started in 1887. My great-great-grandfather, Captain Aaron, was a merchant sea captain, and his home was the New Orleans Inn. And he would go and get lumber, coal, and grain, whatever people wanted in the town, and supply their needs. And then his son, William, when the railroad came to the Cape, decided that the town of New Orleans was starting to form as a town, and there was a Main Street going on, and so he moved the business up to the current location now. That old building we tore down in 1971 to build what we had today, and it's been added on many times. So Snows is 5 generations. It's being run right now by myself and my sister and my cousin. And we're more than just a retail store. Many of you probably are familiar with Snows, but we also have always been in the energy business. We have a full service home heating oil business, as well as we sell propane gas, both wholesale and retail. And back in I'd say about 15 years ago, my cousin had a passion for gardening, and so we actually added a greenhouse, small little greenhouse and nursery garden. And we actually kind of swapped properties with Mid-Cape Center, and we bought their land so we could expand, and my grandfather's house used to be right where their entrance is now. So it's I say that because it's still a friendly town, and that's what's nice about the Cape, and nice about the Lower Cape in particular is, all the businesses, we do work together and get along. And so I'll tell you a little bit about, I gotta look at my notes, sorry. So Snows has not always been on the cutting edge of technology, but we've always embraced technology. And I think it goes back to my dad back in the 60s. Really our first system was assisted by National Cash Register. It was basically, and I don't know much about it, but it was basically a system so we could help us in the billing to our customers, and the data would go onto a magnetic strip, and some of the information would be able to pass over to our general ledger. But it was really in the late 70s when we really became first computerized with a point-of-sale system. We had a basic system called Basic 4 Maui was the company, and so that really is how we kind of got into it. And it wasn't a very robust system, and several years later my dad went out and connected with a company called Basis International. I think they may be still in business. But this all happened actually when I was in my career with George Marsh, and so in '81 I did decide to come back, and I remember telling my dad that I need some reports, I need data. I said, we've got a computer system, this is not telling me anything. So for the next 10 years, I asked my dad to write all those reports, and he spent all his time learning how to program the system and write all these reports for me, and some of them are pretty good. Then we got to the point in the 90s is that my dad was getting older, and it was only him and 2 other guys in the world, I think, that kind of understood the programming that he did. So if there was a problem with the system, I was going to be in a lot of trouble. So I convinced Dad to go out and we shopped around for a system, and we decided on a company called Triad back then, and it's now it's a company that we're still with. They kind of merged over the years between Triad and CCI Triad, and then a company called Activate. They kind of merged with other companies, and now it's a company called Epicor. And Epicor is it's a global company now. Has 20,000 customers. It's a company that we've stuck with over the years because they've always advanced themselves. They have the ability to work on their technology and really invest in their software and try to improve it. Basically, if you don't know about Epicor, it's primarily in the automotive, hardware, and lumber industries. So it's manufacturing, distribution, retail, hospitality. And when they got acquired by Apex and merged with another company called Epicor, and which is really a bigger company in the ready-to-wear industry. So Epicor right now is one of the top 20 software companies in the world, and it is owned by Apex, and it is currently for sale for $3.5 billion, if anybody's interested. Snows also has always had, as I said, been in the energy business. We have a fuel company. We have a different software system that runs the fuel company, and that's because of the degree day delivery forecasting module that's necessary to be able to schedule when to deliver to customers. And we've actually been through 4 different software companies in my time: Scully, Cymat, Infosys, and now we're in a company called Blue Cow, believe it or not, from Western Massachusetts. So Epicor is it's an old system, and Sharice will get a little bit more involved into that, but it's a really great inventory system and point of sale system, and that's why we decided to go with it. They also have purchasing modules, AP, AR, GL. They have a program called RQ, report writing system, which we'll touch on briefly, and a product called Business Advisor, and now Compass, and I'll let Sharice kind of go over a little bit more about that. So enough about me, and if you came here today to listen to me about technology, I'm going to disappoint you because I'm not the technology guy, but one thing I do in my business is I try to hire people that are smarter than me to be able to run the different aspects of the business that I need. And Sharice really, I hired her about 5.5 years ago, and I'll tell you, we wouldn't have done some of the things that we've done in the last 5 years, and we've done a lot without having somebody that I had full confidence in and the ability to run that. So thank you, Sharice.
Thank you, Sid.
She doesn't want to use the microphone, but let me know if you can hear.
Usually my voice carries, I'm told. Am I loud enough back there?
Yes.
Well, I'm Sharice Nolly, and I've worked for Snows, as Sid said, for over 5 years. I've been in IT for over 35 years. I love my job most days. I've worked for corporate America for most of my career, but at Snows I feel like I'm contributing more as an individual than for a big corporate conglomerate. It's very satisfying most days. I'm making a difference, I feel, in people's lives. It's really important to me to succeed and contribute for a family business that's been in operation for over 125 years. I've made friends there. It feels more like a family. I'm very proud of the people that I work with, their ethics, their morals, their values, and how they treat and respect one another. And I also think that if I contribute and do a good job, it'll personally affect people's livelihoods and make customers happy. You know, I can see if we do something, the effect. You know, rather than being in back office with 24,000 people and being a server administrator. So that's why I work for Snows. It is always an adventure working for Snows. The stores, there's 2 stores, one in Harwich now and the one in Orleans. They're open 7 days a week, except in the real cold part of the winter. We went over to Nantucket, and I was on a ferry coming back, and I got a call from Sid's cousin James that there were police in Snows because there had been a major shoplifting event, and that they were waiting for me to get off the ferry to start the surveillance system up so that the police could review the surveillance tapes. Then the next time I left, I went to Boston, and there was a major hurricane, and we have a store generator, we have a store UPS. I have server-sized UPS systems for each one of the servers. There must have been a major power outage or several, but anyhow, the Linux server that controls the operating system went down hard. If you know Linux, you have to you can't rebuild it, you have to just restore it from tape. I love backups. That's like my favorite thing, is backups. So I've never worked for one day for an hour, and I get to wear a lot of different hats.
That must be me, so, okay. Yeah, so POS. So we came in today and talked about particularly a couple of products. Epicor has recently come up with mobile technologies, which is real new, but it is new to us, and it's something that this company, as I said, they keep advancing themselves with. So we're going to talk about really two products. It's mobile POS and then item lookup. And when this first came out, I just said to Sharice, I said, I wanted to continually move the company forward, and I think mobile is the thing to get into, and Epicor providing the software. I do believe in challenging my staff as much as possible and push them to go forward. So,
The first mobile devices that we installed was the POS tablet. It was on an iPad. Epicor allowed us to be able to do it. We're the beta site for this, and they offered the new point of sale tablet software. They had to provide a cloud for us to be able to have the application on. They picked Apple products for their compatibility for testing, and we are a PCI compliant store, so it had to be PCI compliant. We started introducing mobile devices, and we noticed that the price per unit per station was considerably less expensive going with the mobile devices. Our current POS stations cost approximately $2,750 a piece. That would include the PC, the monitor, the receipt printers, the scanners, the cash drawer, and the credit and debit pads. The iPad solution is approximately $1,750, so that's $1,000 savings per station. The cloud, guess who hosts Epicor's cloud?
Amazon.
Amazon. We are PCI compliant. Security Metrics is the organization we use. Every quarter, without notifying me when they're going to do it, they try to infiltrate our internal network system, along with a plethora of other internal processes that the payment card industry has made for a requirement for us to be PCI compliant. It's very important to me that we remain PCI compliant.
just a little note on beta testing. So Epicor, about 5 years ago, asked their larger users of this software to be willing to be beta test sites for their products as they're rolling it out. So I said to Sharice, "Sure, what do you think, Sharice?" "Sure."
I always say sure said, that's right.
But there's also another motive is you get big discounts when they do roll out the software for being a test site. So
Because we are doing the testing and we have to endure the bugs and have a sense of humor about it.
And for those who know, there's a PCI means.
Payment card industry compliant, PCI. We were the beta site for most of Epicor's products. The last beta test was the mobile devices. We've been a beta site for their server client software updates that they release probably a couple times a year. eConnect, which is my favorite product, which distributes the upgrades automatically. I put the software upgrade on my PC and I hit a button and it distributes it to 65 plus PCs. A lot of smaller organizations do that at night. I just do it during the day because our network's robust enough to handle it. It spreads out to 65 plus PCs within 10 minutes. And then when the store closes at night, I hit another command and the eConnect automatically, because the software's already been distributed to every client, reboots the PC, installs the software, reboots the PC after it's installed, and I have a real-time screen that shows me the status of all 65 PCs. So it's cool to be at Snows at night when I'm the only one here to logo that.
that was a great product because it used to be 3 of us that spent 3 hours at night with discs going around PC by PC, and we have over 65 PCs in the store to install it. So that was a big product for us.
They have a new credit card processing system. We used to use Protobase, now we use Epicor Payment Exchange. Our transaction rates went down to 0.01% for credit card transactions, and for debit card transactions, it's a 15 cent flat rate. So the Epicor Payment Exchange greatly reduced our credit card processing.
That basically knocked out a middleman for us, and so another cost savings course, there was a lot of hitches and bugs along the way, but we got through.
Yeah, Epicor Payment Exchange was a beta, and we were the test site, and there was a lot to work for that. Bill character. Special orders, we do advanced special orders on paper still with carbon. But we have, and we are in the stage of implementation. It's just in the summer, it's really difficult to do that for people that are dealing with customers and getting used to a new product. But we are ready to implement the electronic special orders. iNet, we brought in as a beta. That's for our website, online website. Epicor provides a web hosting service for our online store. Compass, which was for me the biggest, most efficient tool, because it really enjoys a lot of reports, as do a lot of people in the back office. And when I came, it was a DOS-based tool called RQ, which Sid already spoke about.
Horrible.
And what had to happen to get iNet and Compass was because Epicor basically is DOS flat files, and Sid already explained the modules, but the inventory, POS, accounts receivable, accounts payable, and general ledger are all separate DOS flat files. So you had to run DOS-based reporting, and you could only go to that one module. You couldn't blend them. They weren't able to be combined, and it was just not good to be able to report if somebody wanted a merging of several of the flat files into one report. It was an impossible thing to do.
I was wasting way too much time in the spreadsheets.
So what we did was we got a major operating system upgrade. It was a SQL-based platform. It allowed me to combine the flat files and join them together. And that Compass tool, again, people can come in and say, I need this, and I can change it within 5 minutes. It also schedules email, it's a task schedule. So if I fall off the planet, they'll still get their reports. So that was a really nice addition. Oh, with Compass?
Yeah, Compass is really, it's a separate
Reporting tool.
reporting tool, and it's actually extracting the data out of all these different 4 modules, and every 15 minutes is updating the actual real time, and so it's a different platform that's actually SQL-based, it's putting all this stuff together so that I can get the reports I want out of all the different modules.
Real time. We don't have to wait until the data processing occurs overnight and does updates. Okay, so the next one we went with was the mini iPad instead of the iPad for the POS station. By the way, we did take the iPad and put it into a monitor that's locked, that's adhered to a podium kind of, so the iPads could walk. The mini iPad we don't have in a stationary place, so that the people on the floor in outdoor living can take the little iPad, and that's what the screen looks like, Mobile Manager it's called, and they can automatically look at items. Sorry, okay, Epicor Mobile Manager is what we have. What they do is they can either take the camera and they can take a picture of the barcode, or they can key in the SKU. And it shows them the quantity on hand, the quantity on order, the pricing, and the sales history. So if you're in outdoor living and you're trying to sell, $1,000 teak set, you don't have to walk over to your station, look up the prices, you stay right with the customer. You look it up right there. They can tell if we have any on hand, on order. If they want to do a special order, they can key in a description of a teacher to see if we have any other kinds that the customer, grills are another big example of that. And that's,
So the point here is that I have like probably 5 or 6 stations for the staff on the floor that are actually whole PC stations for this, just so they can go in and look up and see if we have inventory on something where it might be. And so I told the bosses, when these die, we're not going to replace these at that price, so we're going to go to this new item lookup, which can be done on an iPhone, a little bit small, or mini iPads, or the full iPad.
the mini pads difference in the station prices. Our current inventory stations cost approximately $1,100. That's the PC, the monitor, and the scanner, period. The mini iPad is $250. So that's an $850 savings per station, and it's more flexible. The reasons that we went with the mobile devices are pretty self-explanatory. Customer satisfaction, Snows cares a lot about that. Customers can select merchandise, purchase, and remain in the same department. Customers can choose email or we can print electronic receipts for them. It frees up floor space from using a stationary POS or a service station. The staff can multitask as a cashier and a salesperson. They're not just standing at the cashier. They can be selling the product and ringing the customer out. The staff can use their time more efficiently by staying on the floor. It helps prevent theft because if you're in front of, and I'll show you an example later of jewelry, well, you're just having a person stationed at jewelry and somebody doesn't put on a bracelet and walk out the store. They also can sell it and they also can ring it up. So you're paying one person to do what two people used to have to do. And there is a lot less theft.
So the important thing on a retail store is, my biggest expense out of inventory is my employees. So we really have to pay attention to, how we staff the store. And so technology like this really gives us the ability to what we call line bus. So, when it's slow, you don't need 4 cashiers standing at cash registers, waiting for somebody to come to them. So you've got people on the floor that have these mobile devices and they can just be paged and come right over and assist the customer right there.
And that reduces customer time in line. And in our store, it's waves. You have no one in the store, and then you have a wave. I don't know if it's because it's Cape Cod, but there are waves of people all the time. So this helps with the line busting big time. When you have somebody that has the mobile device, they can just pull them out of the line. I mean, you're profiling the person. They can only have a credit card, but basically 95% of us use credit cards. I mean, we still have to have cash and obviously checks, but you can tell pretty much. You pull the person over if they want an electronic receipt versus email versus it being printed. We can do that. So it really helps with the waves. Okay. To do this, we needed to have a wireless network for the mobile devices. Obviously, they're not set up with Cat5. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Cape Cod Technology Committee, and I'm really glad you're here, Peter Carlson, for providing recommendations for our wireless network. Peter suggested that we provide a free public wireless network as a service to our customers and to the citizens in Orleans, Main Street area. And he suggested that I use open mesh wireless hubs. Our customers and Main Street Center, if you're familiar with Snows, we have 6 wireless hubs, and people at Cape Cod 5 can use our wireless. And it would be cool if every town did it. We would be a wireless Cape for people. But we average about 50 users a day. We have 6 nodes. The last 2 open meshes access points are twice as powerful, and they're 4 times faster than the 4 original ones I got. They came out about 6 months ago with this new version. They are awesome. They never, ever go down, ever. You have the real-time diagrams. You can very easily change the locations. They cost approximately $100 a piece with shipping. Our public name is called Snows on the Wireless Network. That's the SSID, which stands for Service Set Identifier. And when our customers connect, we take them to a splash page. The splash page says, "Welcome to Snows." To get off that page, they have to hit continue, which automatically redirects them whatever browser they're using to our URL for our Snows Home and Garden online store. Nothing in life is free, we get free advertising out of that. Our private wireless network is defined as SSID2, and I'm going to show you how you do this. It's really easy to configure it with the open mesh wireless hubs. That hides the Snows POS name for our internal mobile device POS network. Obviously, that has to be secure and can't be on a public network. We disable something called NAT, which is the network address translation, which basically acts as if I have to have static IP addresses to configure the receipt printers, because they're wireless, to see the tablets. If we use NAT, you're like one IP address with a bunch of IP addresses behind you, so that acts as like you're the receptionist, and then it just forwards you to the extension it wants. Well, that can't happen when you have a private wireless network, because they have to be static, they can't be dynamic IP addresses. So if you can see that SSID2 is all that's required to set up the private wireless network. SSID1 is just the generic default parameters. All I had to do to set the second one up for the wireless devices was to enable the access point, hide the SSID, which I just explained is our private network name, and then make sure that I had NAC disabled, which is the third option. And that's it. What was required, the action items I needed to install the POS tablets, basically, was install iTunes, that's where the app resides, and download tablet software from an app store. Notice my tone, I wasn't that happy that we had to go with that. But they always survive, no matter what. That's what Epicor tested on. So I got to relearn next. Configure the applications, test the equipment and the connectivity, create user documentation, communicate with the finance department because it was new general ledger transaction accounts, communicate with the credit card processing company because we went with Epicor, and this is an Epicor product, but they had never had transactions go through them from the test labs. So that was an exercise. Train the staff and provide support ongoing. In POS jewelry, that's where we put the tablet, the POS tablet, point of service tablet. And these are the benefits of having a POS tablet and jewelry. The customer associate, that's what we call the staff floor people, dedicated to jewelry department, increases sales and prevents shoplifting. Once the sale is complete, merchandise is bagged and stapled instead of the customer carrying the jewelry to the front cashiers and then out the door to another register where theft can occur. We placed it in a very close proximity to the main entrance, allowing the POS tablet to assist in line busting, and the receipts can be emailed. And I want to tell a story. The person that ended up staffing this iPad and jewelry, the first mobile device we rolled out, I thought was the least, diplomatically put it, the least technical, very technically challenged staff member in SNOS. And I thought, okay, this is a setup, I just need somebody that's familiar with computers. I had had her the last summer, she was a summer help, and she would, you'd say, turn the PC off, please, hit the monitor light. Okay, a week later, can you learn how to turn the PC off? Oh, hit the monitor. I turned it off, I swear to God, hit the monitor and the PC's off. Then there was the username and the passwords, caps lock, snow lock. I'm talking challenging. Nice woman, but, was never going to get it, no matter how many functions are redundant or whatever. So we go out to the iPad, and who's standing there ready to learn? And I'm like, oh. So I set up the iPad. I have 7 pages of user documentation. She stands there with all this confidence, and she liked me, and we got along. But I'm like, oh, she seems like a whole different woman. And she just hits the button and she starts navigating all over the POS tablet, like better than me when I had to first do it again. And I'm like, she was like peanut butter and jelly. And I didn't want to say anything like, how come you're so good at this? So I waited like a month, and then I said, Doris, you just are like amazing at this. And she goes, oh, this is nothing. She goes, I have an iPhone, and my kids taught me how to use it. So she missed the whole arc of the PC technology. And she's like a whiz, beyond being a whiz. Okay, she took my 7 pages of documentation, took a little yellow sticky pad, and basically narrowed down what you really needed to know, not what Sharice thought you needed to know. Taped it to the thing, so that every other woman or man approximately my age or older that has to do this, as a cashier, would come over and not feel intimidated whatsoever. And then what she does is, and she used to just help customers with small electronics, She's right in front of the line where we have 4 cashiers and customer service. We've all stood at customer service and watched her do this. She pulls them off and like line bus, brings them over to her jewelry station, because she says, oh, I can just ring you up here. And then she says, and we have like Cape Cod, bracelets and this really cool thing. Does it with middle-aged guys, your wife would really love this. I watched her get, $400 sales in bracelets, and the person was literally walking right out the door. And she calls them over, and she loves selling them jewelry. It's like a real, fun thing for her to sell and ring them up. So it's been a really enlightening event for me.
She sells a lot of jewelry, that's what I love, but I think we were slightly wrong, but I mean, a kind of an example of the challenges that we do have, and so the way we try to operate is, I want to push with technology, but I can't push my staff too hard, so what we find, if we get one employee to really embrace it and get to love it, and then everybody else says, oh, that's easy. It's easy? Okay, so I can try it too. So that's our MO for this year coming up, so we'll see what happens.
For item lookup, that's the other product we introduced, instead of just the POS tablet. That's more like for outdoor living. So the customer associates save time by having the mobile item lookup capability without having to leave the floor. And the customers also benefit because they're not left on the floor waiting while the associate goes over to the stationary POS. They feel it's a classier way to handle it. You just stay with them and answer their questions. And this slide I'm leaving up to Sid entirely.
Yes,
Excuse me, sorry. Peter.
Sorry, can I ask a question, Trish, before you get to the next part? Did you guys do the bring your own device? You allowing your associates to use their own iPhones to install Mobile Manager, or are you guys just supplying it?
No, we use only our devices
Yep.
because I want everybody to be on the private wireless network.
Yep.
I don't want their devices are going to be on the public stones, and I have to keep them on the mobile devices that are doing POS.
Right.
Mobile lookup wouldn't have to be,
Yep.
but the POS definitely has
So
to.
mobile lookup, you can deploy that on people's iPhones if you want.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right.
yeah, so we're actually going to take this slide out, but we left it in. And so, it's always tough. Change is always tough for people. It's tougher for some rather than others, but it's also a family thing, and it comes down to that, I'm trying to push my staff to advance with technology, and they're more concerned about, running the store day to day, and, they don't want to learn anything new, they don't have time to learn anything new, and so it is a challenge to try to roll out a product and to train people on the floor, where you got customers that are there walking around and they're trying to learn in real time, and so it is a challenge with family, and sometimes I have to back off a little bit, and particularly when my cousin and my sister, said we just can't do this, don't force us to do this, we're gonna have a revolt here, and employees are gonna leave, and so sometimes I have to back off a little bit, but I'm persistent, so we keep there, we do it in stages, and it's working.
So the issues, change, pushback, which is what Sid just related to. There are not enough people to cover the floor on the off-season and be trained. They have to cover the floor. Then on the on-season, when there's sales peaks, you bring in people, but then you have to train them and have them comfortable enough with the new process and the devices when there's a lot of customers. So it's a balancing act. And just normally, there's always, change. People fear it. The current process was working since 125 years. There's been processes that were working, so I changed them. Technical implementation, it was a learning curve for me. And hardware and software and Epicor to learn. Staff shortages, seasonal sales peaks, training. And we're down to questions.
So
Yes,
I hope-
Paul.
I have lots of them. My background is actually in point of sale, back in another career that I had many years ago. First question is, when you email the receipt, are you capturing that email for your database to market to?
Yes, and it goes into the customer MCR customer database.
Excellent.
And we take those and extract them. I extract them once a month. Mostly we get them from our rewards applications and somebody manually enters them. and then I extract them, and then I import them into Constant Contact, and Sid's marketing person sends the e-blasts out using those emails.
A second question would be, are you also using Epicor and these mobile devices for inventory? As in, you know, you run your inventories twice a year. Are you using those to scan now in your stores, or is there plans to do that, to cut out that middle part of inventory? Where
Yeah, what we're trying to go towards is to do more cycle counting, and it would be an excellent product to kind of do that. However, I don't think it's tied in at this point to be actually go into the program with an assistant to make that change in inventory. So the answer is really yes, but it's not, technology is really not, with Evercore, it's not there yet.
Right now, we do year-end inventory with Regis, and we use our wireless RF guns that are already incorporated into receiving. They're not the Apple mobile devices, but we do use the wireless devices for our year-end count.
Yeah, we'll inventory our Howard store, which is relatively small ourselves, but Orleans is kind of large, so we need to get it done in one day, so you have to have something.
Thank you.
Hey, sticking with the inventory theme, any numbers on inventory shrinkage? Have you seen any improvement in that?
The shrinkage has been coming down. There's a lot of factors in shrinkage. It's theft, we never know how much is actually theft, how much is receiving areas, and there's like, I think 123 different areas of the store that can cause something to go off count. But it has been coming down, but not that much. It's still kind of a consistent shrinking. Yes.
Mine's kind of an HR question as it relates to technology. Orleans is, and Harwich, probably the oldest demographics on the Cape. It must be reflective in your staffing and your customer base. You find a lot of pushback, and how does that relate to age?
I'm not sure if I understand the question. Pushback is relative to the inventory?
Technology,
To the
technology basically, technology usage. Are the customers embracing it? Is your staff, you spoke to it a little bit, is your staff embracing it?
The staff is embracing it slowly, some better than others. I think the customers, I haven't found any customer that hasn't enjoyed it, and it's really an advantage to them, and that's why we do it. Obviously, you know, we do have younger customers in our store, just not as many, and you know, they seem to embrace it a little bit quicker than some of the older people, but it's surprising because some of the older folks, they say like it's about time, you know, so you did this. So.
And I would like, for an example, we put in the wireless network for public service. So I see people my age that go up and they, you know, look at the product and they get right on Google to compare a product. And I think, okay, so good we have the wireless in the store, you know, because they have to drive around. But they're going to find out anyhow, you know, and do price comparisons. And if you want the service, and it is a knowledgeable staff, it snows. And it's different than going into Home Depot. But if you're just going to do the pricing issue, you know, you have to compare, and people are going to do that more and more. I do think what we did do with staffing, because it is hard to get summer help, and we did start going through Craigslist, not advertising Snow's name, you know, just putting the number and a contact to try to get younger people to come in. Because if you think about it, we used to use the newspaper, Cape Cod Times. I think everybody my age and older may still get the Sunday paper, maybe. But you're not going to get any kids that are reading the Sunday Times to get a job. So how do you advertise? Well, we didn't use Craigslist until this year. I suggested to Barbara we did because she couldn't get, you know, more bodies to interview. She put on Craigslist. We got a whole bunch of young kids that came in because that's how they find out about the jobs now. So, you know, and they come in and obviously they were born knowing how to do this stuff. And, you know, like I told you the story about the employee Doris. I mean, I'd say she's older than me, you know, so if I was into age discrimination because of being apprehensive about a product, like I said, it was a wake-up call for me. You can't ever go by that anymore because everybody comes from a whole different, you know, wide variety of experiences.
I think from the perspective of an in-store price shopping comparison, we're kind of insulated a little bit right now. I don't see a lot of seniors walking around with their smartphones. opening up the Red Laser app and zapping an item and seeing where they can get it cheaper. So I don't see too much of that. What's going to happen down the road, who knows?
Have you had any challenges in terms of the minis, either keeping them charged or having them walk out the door or anything like that?
Well, the one that we use for the tablet is like on a sort of like a podium, and it's adhered to it, and it's on a monitor stand in the jewelry box area, so it's a really nice, thin, sleek looking model that's locked inside, so it actually just looks like a monitor. That we have locked in the jewelry cabinet overnight. We have a power strip adhered to the side of it, and we keep them powered up all the time. Because, like I said, this woman just keeps, line busting thousands of transactions. And what happened, like they're fully charged overnight. I had them where they didn't have them charged, in the electric inputs during the day, and they were just running out of juice by about mid-morning. And it wasn't obvious because it was just like little glitches, and there was no consistency. The scanner is wireless, and then you have a receipt printer, and then you have a tablet, and if one of them gets not fully charged, you start to see problems. So now I just have them plugged right into a power strip all day, and that resolved all of that. That one's stationary. The mini iPad that's out on the floor, people just walk around with it, and when they're not using it, if they're on break or whatever, we put them in a drawer. And that charges overnight, and that seems fine, not needing any charge during the day, but it's not getting pounded.
That is a good question, though. Something we thought about. We started small. Not that many employees have the ability to be able to do that yet. Do I give all my employees a tablet to be able to do this? And if we do, an iPhone they can have on your waist, but then the women, they're not going to have a belt all the time around their waist, so where they're going to put it, and you have a holster for it. So we're kind of struggling through it, rolling it out so that it's store-wide. Is how we're going to do that, what device we're going to use, and how many are we going to lose? Yeah.
And this is one thing I'm always going to kick myself for. When you're in technology, you always know about a year ahead of time. I should have thought of that. And now it's with the mini iPad on the floor for outdoor living. So keep saying, well, there must be some kind of bag, or what's the word you use, like a sling or something. No, I've gone online. I got that great monitor for the standalone, but for them out on the floor, there just isn't any cool thing to carry it in and just slide it into. So that's something for you entrepreneurs.
So there's a lot of other technologies, so I'll just touch on a couple. Maybe I'll spur some more questions. But one of the things that we do in the buying department is we have the ability now for the buyers to have views in the system that they can pull up merchandise and actually suggest what they need to order based upon the parameters. What am I going to need for the next 4 weeks of inventory of a particular item, and so they can kind of build a purchase order within the system and actually turn is actually more than turning a switch. I don't know the process, but it's they can turn that actually into a real purchase order, and then they can actually computer fax it to the vendors. So it's just one example of the technologies in the last several years that we've been using to really make it much more efficient for the staff. Because the old way was, you manually handwrite what you want in an order, it goes to another person that enters the order into the system, and then the order's going to be turned into a PO, and then they got to fax it to a vendor. So it saves a lot of steps.
Basically, you just hit select whatever the rows are in your view, and it uploads it into the purchase order by hitting an icon in the application.
It's Paul.
Do you have an app for the trains?
Not for the trains. What kind of app should I have for our trains?
I don't know. I see the ability for something cool that would happen in that respect as well, where you take the old technology of switching, which obviously tracks have done for hundreds of years. It seems like that you could find an app that the woman in the jewelry counter could actually control the trains.
Well, that's another battle in the store.
Bracelets on the trains.
So I'll tell you about this. We don't run a train all the time, because if you run a train all day long, it burns out the engine. So they need to rest and cool down a little bit. So that's a challenge I have, trying to get the train running, turn the train off, get the train running. We do have switches though on a lot of the the trains that a kid can come in and actually push the button, train will run for 1 minute or 2 minutes, whatever, and it'll stop, so.
But I get Paul's point, it would be a remote control from jewelry. Doors would just hit the button, the train would start, it would flip everybody out.
No, I think my answer is no.
How much of your sales are online versus people coming in the store? Or someone saying, you know, is this there? I'll come and pick it up.
It's a very good question, and actually Peter and I worked on this for a long time, many years, and I think our first website, always want to be in the know and be there with the technology, but not maybe fully going. So we've had a website for probably 10 years. It started out as informational, and I've hired a bunch of companies to kind of build it. And so we do have Snow's Home and Garden, which is, if anybody shops there, it's a lousy website. It doesn't have much merchandise on it. We do maybe, consistently do about $10,000 worth of volume, which is nothing, on my own website. So I'm actually torn right now is whether I'm going to just turn off the shopping cart and just kind of focus on trying to get the customer into the store rather than trying to get them to shop online. Today we just can't compete against the giants. Was invited by Amazon about 5 or 6 years ago when they added their home and garden category to be online. So, we joined Amazon, and I had a storefront on Amazon for a long time, and we learned how to optimize the SKUs within their platform and how to get the rankings up so you get the first few items, without having to pay for them. And I actually built a volume of about $600,000 a year in sales. The problem is I couldn't make any money on that. Amazon charges 15% commission. I have to do all the work. I have to take the pictures. I had a staff of 5 people in my web department. Take pictures, write the copy, upload it to the site. Twice a day we have to upload our inventories to the site so that they're accurate. Then we have to fulfill the items, so we got to pick it every morning. And we were picking, hundreds of items every morning. Somebody's going around the shopping cart pulling all these items, and then we got to pack it. We got to pay for the shipping supplies and pay for the shipping out. Unless we go free shipping, and then when we did free shipping, which is sales would spike, but that's just another cut off the bottom line. So at the end of the day, the way we operated, the volume just isn't enough to be there. So I actually canceled my contract with Amazon this year.
But on the flip side, you'll have people call up and say, I've been in your store, can you get this to me? And you'll do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we always look at orders. I'm just torn now as to how much is it going to cost me in payroll to have somebody to maintain the site and to put more items on there versus the return I'm going to get on it. And I really don't think it's there, which is a shame, because I really liked it. It was one of my pet things 6 years ago was let's go after the .com thing, but don't always win.
The other day I was in a big store looking for an esoteric item and they didn't know they had it. So I hopped on their website and was able to look up the SKU for it and said, well, do you have any of these? And once I gave them the number for it, instead of describing it to them, they could find it. Do you do anything like that in terms of, when people check out, reminding them to get the feed hose for the sink or?
Well, that would be pretty embarrassing, wouldn't it? So, we do have, one thing that we could do is we do buy from several co-ops, and they all have like 65,000 items in their warehouses that we can get within a week, and so that's another the pushback is, and then the expense of having somebody to be able to go to a station and bring the customer with them and actually go online and look up that item, and because they do have the ability, we can just order that right on the spot on the floor for the customer, and it will be there.
We do have stationary lookup stations. That's the majority of what we have. We only have a couple lookup items that are mobile at this point. But you don't have to key in the SKU. What the customer associates do is they key in grill or Genesis grill, and then it'll give them all of them with the mobile lookup device, all of the grills and what's on hand. So they don't have to know the SKUs, they just need to know the description. Or if somebody's really set on a telescope versus another brand, they can, with this mobile lookup key and telescope, I've seen them do it, and it gives them everything that's in the store. So, and then if the person says, well, I've been in here before, this happened to me yesterday. I saw this and now it's not here because, everything's selling on the floor. And you look at it and it says, okay, we have 7 on hand. Well, they're not up there while they were down and they haven't been stocked and brought up. So that's a really good use of the mobile device, sort of what you're saying. You know, whether you go by the description or the SKU, if it's not on the floor, it's somewhere. And we just have to find it for the customer. And that's why the lookup is very important, especially this time of year when the stock's turning over so much.
Yes, Paul?
Coming back to the marrying the technology with marketing, I know that you capture their email address. Do you capture their sales history with that, or is there a loyalty card that you do, and then you market specifically to that customer?
We do have a loyalty program, actually with True Value Dealer, although I didn't say it, and they actually been through a couple of vendors, but the recent vendors does a very good job of loyalty. We have probably, I think about 19,000 customers that have a rewards card with us, and about 50% of our sales are on loyalty cards, and we know exactly what they buy.
And Sid has me extract reports for him based on, you know, what the best sales were, how many direct mail postcards he wants to send out. We know where they live address-wise, we know how much they purchased, and then he decides, you know, where the sweet spot is.
Is that loyalty card, any plans to put that on a smartphone? So instead of having a physical plastic thing that gets in the way of my keys or in my wallet?
I have it because they don't even need to have the card to shop in the store. When we pull it up automatically, it pops up at point of sale at each cashier's, and they ask, do you have a loyalty program? If they say yes, then they can go in and alpha search or phone number search for that number.
I have a separate True Value card and a Snow's loyalty card, and I didn't know.
No, they don't.
They don't? Okay.
Well, actually, yes, it would work. But my cashier won't take a True Value loyalty card.
The numbers are kept in the system differently for each store. So now when we give rewards coupons out, we have them filtered by just our store number.
So it's kind of interesting because, again, I'm always pushing for technology, but I'm the only non-branded True Value store that has the rewards program. We have it under the Home and Garden Showplace, which is an arm under the True Value brand. And so I fought for actually years to their management people to allow their vendors to be able to spend the time to support just for one store.
I would just like to mention that when I got the job over 5 years ago, these are some technical things that I never would have expected, and I think you guys would be surprised by some of the technology that's required to run a medium-sized retail business. Amazed me. I mean, really did. We have over 100 network components. You know, you're talking RF guns, PCs, printers, servers, hubs, switches, you know. There's 5 servers, I mean, major, you know, RAID servers with, you know, backups, and we have one SBS 2008 that does all the back office file and print sharing. We do Benmore, where the PCs aren't standalone, that they use a central database on the server, so that if you lose the hard drive, you have the capability of getting your custom formula when you walk in. And also, if you put it on the center, and they all use the center one, they can share the paint and everybody's formula. And there's a spectrometer, you put, you know, the chip in. Once that is in, then it stops any manual errors. You go over to a PC, you can, you know, get the formula. If it was made on one PC, you can see it on the other PC. We're the beta for that for Benmore. They came up here last summer and this summer because they wanted to come up at Cape Cod this summer. No, I'm kidding. And that's when they implemented that. And they also have something called PromoLink now, where it automatically updates my server. So I don't have to go and check to see when they have new color formulas and all. So it's really good. That's a server-based product. We do the scanning. We have a delivery schedule, company calendars, payroll software. The Linux server is totally dedicated to POS. There's 3 Windows 8 2008 servers for the fuel department, and that's for their applications. We do remote home monitoring. So if the temperature in a house goes down and it's the snowbirds, they automatically, you know, get told, so they know to go out to see why the temperature went down in the house.
Actually, I'll just add on to that. So the technology in the fuel division now for oil tanks is we have a new product called the Rocket. And it actually is an ultrasonic sensor that we put on the tanks, and it goes in and actually measures how much oil is in that tank for the customer, so we'll always know how much oil they've got when to go deliver.
It does the fuel dispatch and delivery system for the fuel department. And then we just implemented within the last month an Ignite, Blue Cow now has become Ignite. And that's the fuel department server application. And they just came out with an Ignite mobile product, so we brought up a server for that. And that has 10 iPad tablets. And what that does is each truck has it in the truck, so when it goes to a home, it doesn't, they don't have to write everything down, bring it back again, transcriptions, errors, and also accountability, because, you're there, you're not somewhere else. They know exactly where you are because it's got the built-in GPS in it. And it schedules tickets, it records how many gallons, and it provides the sale ticket to the person, in the house right then. So they don't have to go back and enter it all to the system. Then those mobile devices send it back to the mobile server, and then your PCI compliance, so there has to be all this to get that to the actual fuel server. So that's the mobile.
It's not really new technology, but it's new to us. Again, it's a pushback. So I think the staff I have now really see the advantage to the efficiencies in the office particularly. So.
We have, like I said, a piece. Oh, I'm sorry.
Do your sales associates have individual email addresses, or do you do it by department? How do you correspond with customers?
I'm not sure.
Got a customer emailing in, you mean?
In some stores, they're very high touch, where Bob is my suit guy, and he'll email me every once in a while to say, we have a special on something in your size, or your favorite color, or something like that. And some people do it by department, some people do it individually, and share it.
It's a good point. I mean, I would do that. None of my staff people have email addresses in the store. Most of the office, all the office people and buyers and stuff obviously have it. I think it's the distraction on how often you're going to check the email, when you're going to check it, and I really want them focusing on the customers in the store. But it's a good question, and I'll look into it. Yeah.
A friend of mine was a bank manager, and they weren't allowed to have email at all, so you couldn't correspond with her on anything except the fax or stuff. And she borrowed my laptop to check her personal email, so she could be in touch with some of her customers.
We do have in the paint department, through Benjamin Moore, the ability now that we set it up that our contractors can actually send us an email that they're going to come in and they need X amount of paint or whatever, so that automatically automatically pops up on their point of sale screen, so they can't miss it, and so that they can respond to it. So. But not that I'm going to use it. Why?
We do have, Sid does get email from customers from the website, or, it doesn't say Sid's, no, it's management. And then the customers definitely email Sid, because I get the emails, he wants me to respond to their concerns. Also, customer service has an email, and I'm in charge of the rewards program, and everybody that I communicate with, I give them my work email and, my phone, and they do call, and they do email. So the people that seem like, that want to have that kind of connection, figure out a way to get it.
Yeah, I have an iPad, which I live with at home, and all my emails go to that iPad, so, throughout the weekend, I'm always responding to a customer and telling them I'm going to take care of them, whenever we can, who's going to take care of them. And same thing with my field manager, now that we've gone with actually online accounts in the field department, we're getting a lot of people that are emailing for service and so forth, and so it's important to be back to them right away, yeah. But to have to actually have all the staff people doing it, not yet.
We have a few HP Pro Group network switches, and we put in a fiber optic backbone, because when we brought in the camera surveillance system, video, as you all know, crushes the network. And when we brought in all these upgrades, we really needed, and I noticed that made a huge difference. And it's one orange cable, for the of you that aren't familiar with it, that went from one hub to the other ProCurve managed hub, and it made a world of difference in the response time. And it's, it's relatively expensive, but it's certainly, that would, I'd say, out of all the network architecture, would be the biggest bang for the buck. Not the whole store, just from the managed hubs. I would highly recommend that. We put in a VPN for remote connectivity, so we all log in from home every night. We have the online store, which Epicor does the web hosting for. We have multi-store software, because we have the two softwares, and then just basically, so you know, we're on Windows 7, semantic virus protection, and we use MS Office Suite and Outlook. So that's pretty much the technology.
Part of my thing on Howard Store actually was, gave us the ability to jump into multi-store software. My goal years ago, before the 2008 credit crisis, was to roll out more stores on the Cape and go off into Plymouth, and so we wanted to jump into multi-store software and learn how to do that. The buyers learn how to buy purchase orders for various different stores, and so that was one of the reasons, technology reasons.
Amazing.